Hello everyone, I'm Lily, I'm the Furniture Doctor, and we are back today with a new project. This project actually came to me from a woman that I had previously bought a dresser from. She knew that I restored furniture, and so when she won a storage unit auction and came across these 3 pieces, which you'll see in a second, she thought of me, messaged me to see if I wanted them before she listed them, and asked $50 for all three pieces. 50 for 3 pieces. And I was like, yeah, done. Actually, I'll give you 70 if you deliver them to my house. And she's like, sure. And I was like, sure. And they're at my house later that day. So it never hurts to ask, but yes, here they are. So here is the dresser. If you can't tell by the size, it is kind of like a mini size. That's because it is for children. This top is really scary. Like, I'm a little nervous to be working on this because obviously I want to preserve the veneer and not have to replace it. It's pretty terrifying. Some of it is a little loose on the edges. The detailing of the middle drawer is really cool. There is a big chunk missing, so we'll have to replace that and then clamp down and re-glue this part right here. The hardware is all here, which is a plus. The legs are so cute. The finish is definitely coming off. These are the nightstands that came with the dresser. So they're children's nightstands and they're very weird size, but I kind of love it. And I kind of want to keep them for my son's future room when he's, a big boy. He's only 6 months old, so I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but look at this. So there are 2 nightstands. One is missing legs, so we will have to get new little legs, but yeah, there are 2 drawers. And they're just this super weird size. Like, I should get a tape measure, but this big and like yay high. Like, I want to say maybe they're like a foot tall. I don't know. They're really cute though. So obviously I did my typical reverse image search on Google Lens and nothing came up, but there is a maker's mark. It's Lullabye, L-U-L-L-A-B-Y-E furniture. And so I did some digging and some research, and this Lullabye furniture was a children's furniture company, but it's manufactured or was manufactured in Stevens Point, Wisconsin, which that's going to mean nothing to 99% of you, but that's near Wausau, Wisconsin, which is right kind of near where my husband and I got married. So I know where Stevens Point is. So I thought that was just kind of a cute little coincidence, which makes me want to keep this set even more. But yeah, on the back it also has these numbers 684, and then it says spice and driftwood. So I'm thinking that was the color. Maybe driftwood was like the color line of this furniture. But yeah, it seems to be very well made, and I'm gonna dive some more into the history, but first let's get started. I'm not sure if I'm going to do the nightstands as well at the same time as the dresser. I kind of just want to focus on the dresser, but yeah, this one's gonna be a little different. So I'm excited. First things first, to remove the hardware. So it looks like the hardware was once gold. You can see there. And now it's patinaed, whatever you want to call it, to like a chrome. It's pretty cool. Need a little bit of force, I guess. I clean right away, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to address kind of this separating veneer first, because if I were to clean, I'm spraying like a water-based cleaning product on it, and I don't want to introduce any moisture into this crack. I want to like kind of close that up first. So that's why I'm going to apply some wood glue and some clamps, close up all of those areas, and then I will clean. I've seen people use like blunt tip syringes, which would be awesome for this. I just don't have any. Then use some clamps to clamp it down. This looks so dramatic. Oh my goodness. Removing these old drawer liners, which are pretty nasty. Clean crud cutter, shop towels. We'll see if I can get any of this gunk off. Oh my goodness, gross. Now, since I'm doing all of kind of like the repairs before I start sanding and everything, we must address this chunk that's missing. So what I have found in my scrap wood pile is this piece. I believe it's solid oak. It's basically the same width as this drawer front. And what I'm going to do is kind of trace the piece that's missing, and then I can glue it on. The weird thing about this is it's like, I don't know, I'm gonna have to like cut it like kind of like a bevel. It's not just like I put it on. If you can see, these are kind of like shingle shaped. So if I were to put this on just like that, it's gonna stick outwards, right? Which is not what we want. We want it to be more flat. So I'm gonna have to kind of like, there's that called coping when you put on molding, I think maybe, and make it so everything is even. So I'm gonna have to play around with the edge a bit, but I'm just gonna cut it. I'm gonna cut it a little bit bigger than I need it, so I do have some room to play around with the edge. And yeah, so we're gonna trace it first. This is my little scroll saw that I'm going to use to cut this, because I don't really want to break out my whole miter saw just to cut this little piece. So we're going to use my little handy dandy Dremel Moto saw. It's like a portable scroll saw. Love this thing. So definitely not perfect, but we can sand the rest. So if I put this on right here, you can kind of see how it sticks up. We want it to be flush. So I'm gonna play around with sanding the edge so I can get it flush. And then from there, I will cut the excess once I get the angle correctly. Gonna use heavy duty 60 grit sandpaper because I have a ton of it, and why not? All right, here we go. All right, so time to see if this angle works at all. I sanded it down some more. I think I kind of got the angle right. I just need to kind of make a line right here and like cut off this amount of excess. It's not perfect, but I'm gonna use some epoxy too to kind of weld it together. I don't know why this is so hard, but it's just the angle that it's cut at, and yeah, so we'll try this. Otherwise, I can always do a second attempt. Not the best line, but all right, we'll cut off this excess now. Placing the glue. Any professionally trained woodworkers right now are probably having a stroke watching me do this. But you know, I'm just a girl in my garage trying to problem solve. So give me some credit. Okay, that's gonna just skip ahead and start sanding. We are using 120 grit. This finish looks like it's gonna come off really easily, so I'm gonna be careful while sanding because it is veneer, but I think it'll be quick. Although every time I say that, it's not quick, but. Just sanded the first drawer, and I am shocked at how low quality this wood is, and it's veneer. So this is going to be very tricky to stain, I already know, so need to really think about that process and kind of what color we're gonna go with. Oh my gosh, the birds are so loud. I'm also really nervous about what the top of the dresser is going to look like because it had all of those stains. And usually when it's like a really low quality veneer like this, the stains are like in there. So that's gonna be interesting. Hopefully it's fixable because I would like to just use the veneer that's already on here and not paint because I'm not good at painting. And yeah. So I don't even know what kind of wood this is. I would say, I have no idea, maybe maple, but I don't know, it's a POS. Duh. I actually meant lacquer thinner, not acetone. But anyway, I'm just gonna dump some of this on and see if that helps loosen up the finish. Kind of scrub it. Not sure if you can tell, but there is like a little bit of bubbling. Switching from 100 grit to 120 and working our way up. It does seem like this redness is coming out pretty well, so we'll keep working our way up and hope it becomes less red. It's been a few days since I worked on this dresser. I am back out in the garage. I am going to kind of undo my little thing I got going on here. I'd say it looks pretty good. What I'm gonna do is fill some epoxy in the top crack and then in the back as well, just to secure it even more because I don't think I did the best job. But yeah, so I'm gonna put some epoxy putty in this crack and then in the back of it as well. Some epoxy putty in gloves that are way too big.
This crack right here.
Okay, now we are going to sand down my really crazy repair. Do not judge me on this, guys. Like, this is not great. This is not my best work. So I feel like if I admit that, you could maybe like not criticize me as hard on this. But okay, here it is. Ready? Yeah, it's pretty bad, but it's strong and we are going to paint this drawer. So I feel like as long as I get it smooth, the paint will cover up, you know, interesting of a repair it is. But it's strong. Epoxy, wood glue, wood. Have to toot my horn about this one because that's actually pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty proud. Look at that. Wow, go me. So I can't really get out a lot of this redness. So what I'm gonna do is apply some oxalic acid, which is basically, well, not basically, it is wood bleach. So I'm going to mix that up now. I have some warm water in a cup right here. My Camp Ridlin. I have all my Camp Ridlin merch on right now. And I'm going to mix some oxalic acid. I'm going to apply it with a brush, let it sit, and then I might apply another one. And then if I need to, just keep applying more and more coats to see if I can get this redness out. And then from there, we will neutralize with a baking soda solution. And then we can move on to the rest of the things. So we'll mix that up now. I am using this one from Real Milk Paint, although I'm pretty sure it's not called Real Milk Paint anymore, their company. Gloves, because you don't want to touch this stuff. And what I do is basically scoop it. I put a healthy amount in, but you do want it to dissolve. So enough where it dissolves. I might have put too much, but that's okay. Normally I would apply it with a brush like this, but this is way too big. So I'm going to use a foam brush instead. I'm also like 99.9% positive I'm going to do new veneer on the top, but I have this oxalic acid, so I might as well try and apply it to see if it does anything to these stains. Because this is not green from water stains, but it's green from I believe foam that was on the bottom of one of the nightstands that was then sitting on top of here in storage. And I believe that one of the nightstands got wet and it got the foam kind of wet. And if you don't have oxalic acid on hand, you can use Barkeeper's Friend. Barkeeper's Friend does have oxalic acid in it. It's just way less concentrated, so you might need to do more rounds. But if you do have that on hand, you can always try that first. Wipe it off with a baking soda solution. If you don't use baking soda solution, that's when you have issues with adhesion later on with the top coat to the wood. So that's why you have to neutralize. Pro tip. Just flip the piece over and then I'm going to apply oxalic acid on this side. You can see how this side has a lot less staining than the other. Like a lot less like red hues. So I'm not sure what that's about. Maybe one side had, you know, direct sunlight. It was like the way it was placed in a room or the storage or who knows. But it's the next day. Yesterday I did 2 rounds of wood bleach on here. As you can see, there's still a little bit of redness. What I'm gonna try and do is sand it lightly with 120 grit, and then I'm gonna do another round. And then from there, that's when I will neutralize it with a baking soda solution. But I just wanna try to see if maybe the stain lifted a little bit and sanding helps. And then we'll do another round or several rounds. We'll see. But yes. See. Didn't really help that much. So now we are going to make a baking soda solution to neutralize the oxalic acid that I had put on the veneer. So a lot of you are going to ask for like specific ratios and measurements about how much baking soda I'm putting in the water. And honestly, I just wing it. I just put enough that it dissolves, and maybe there's a little bit left over that didn't dissolve, and just kind of slap it on there. So sorry, I'm not an exact measurement kind of girl, but all right. If you see me doing this, I also have to record short form. So here we go. Just pouring. Give it a little stir. And now we are going to put it on the piece. My next coat. Also kind of determined that the top of this might be a little too far gone. So I ordered some veneer and we're gonna see if it's a good match to the drawers. Okay, so I think I ordered birch. Okay, it's all right. So this is what it looks like next to the drawers. I think it has a lot more grain than I had anticipated, but it might work. Might have to just be a little experimental with matching stain colors to this in the top. It is officially time to cut our veneer. So I'm just measuring this 37.5 inches long, 17.5 depth. We're going to cut this veneer, and then before I do that though, I am gonna spray some degreaser on here, wipe that down just to kind of degrease the surface, make it better for adhesion when I put the veneer on, and as that dries, I will cut the veneer to size. So do that now. Using crud cutter, my favorite degreaser. All right, so we'll let that dry. These are my Dremel electric scissors. They come in handy when cutting veneer. Pretty cool. Cool. So now time to cut the depth. It was 17.5 inches, but we're gonna add an extra inch for mess up, so 17. All right, cool. So this is all cut and ready to go on the top once the crud cutter officially dries. So now we are going to apply this veneer, just doing a quick dry fit. I like to add a little bit of length on each side. This is the flat side, so we go like this. Okay, this is always super stressful, so if I'm quiet, you know why. Okay. So we're gonna start it at least there, and that should cover everything easily. All right, so. And then before I stick any further, just making sure it's good on all this. Okay. I should have said this, but this is sticker backed veneer, which I've used before. I've never actually used contact cement to apply veneer, but this is sticker backed, so what I'm doing is peeling back the sticker as I go, and then I'm using this. It's a brayer tool, but it's from Cricut, and this is kind of what I use to just smush it down. So. Then I like to check as I go to make sure that there's no bubbles that I can see. Now I'm going to use this little edging tool to trim off this excess veneer on the edge. do this and this back one as well. So the veneer is on the top, but as you can see, there is quite the color discrepancy. So what I am going to do is I'm going to take a scrap piece of veneer. This is the scrap piece of what I just put on, and I am going to apply some pre-stain because I'm going to be applying pre-stain to the entire piece. And then I'm going to play around with mixing some stain colors because I have a feeling that when I apply a stain here, it's going to look vastly different on the top, just because this one still has a little bit of red, it's aged, this one is like fresh. If I mix two stain colors, and then I think I'm gonna do Minwax Simply White and Minwax Golden Pecan. And so I'm gonna apply it on the sides, and then I'm gonna see what I can do to get a color match for the top. So maybe a little bit more Golden Pecan on the top and a little less on here. So we'll see. I don't normally mix stains too often because I'm usually a wing it kind of girl. So playing around with ratios and everything is going to be a little interesting, but that's okay. We'll figure it out. And in the direction of the grain. Wait 5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll wipe off any excess, and then we will start mixing, stain. To the drawers. Applying pre-stain to the top just to let that sit. So you can definitely see the difference after I put pre-stain on this side from here to here. So that's going to be an issue. So these are the two colors that I have gotten. I got this at Lowe's, and what I think I'm going to do is start with a 1-to-1 ratio of these two and just see kind of how it looks or turns out, because let's be real, I have no idea what I'm doing. Oops. I can't over pour this one because then I'll really mess up with the ratios, but did I get it? Boop. Whoops. Mix it. We are going to swatch this one piece. Kind of looks the same, doesn't it? Yeah, it kind of looks the same. Okay, so I think right off the bat, I'm just gonna add more Golden Pecan. This is like kind of hard to do. Okay, so now that's more like 2-to-1. It just kind of looks the same to me. I wonder if I just do one of Golden Mahogany, like straight Golden Mahogany, and then add like, Golden Pecan. I keep saying Golden Mahogany. Okay, so let me just do that. Reddish kind of tone that I need on the piece. And then on the top at least. So if I can get this to match the side, then maybe, okay, I think I have a plan. I'm talking out loud, I think I have a plan. So what we're going to do is take Golden Pecan and put it on the top right here, hoping that it will look more like the side once it's on. Okay, ready? It does look closer though. It definitely looks closer. So now I'm gonna try to apply some Minwax Simply White here to maybe try and neutralize this and get them more of a closer match. Okay, so let's try this. I have no idea how this is gonna go. Considering I never use a white stain. Okay, there's still a reddish hue, and the top is more yellow, but I think we can maybe work with this. We'll see. So I put the top drawer in, and it's almost like I need to like tint the Simply White with like a little bit of a red stain. I'm gonna see if I have anything. I don't typically buy like reddish stains, so I don't know. And then I'm kind of leaning towards painting this edge here instead of like messing with adding a veneer edging or banding and then having to color match all of that. Plus, I think if I paint that, it'll kind of tie together the middle drawer, which I am going to paint. So, yeah, this is like really tough. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna try and find like a little bit of a red stain that I can add to the top here and maybe make it match slightly. And we still have to add polyurethane, an oil-based polyurethane, which is going to darken everything on both the drawers, the top, the sides. So I don't even know how that's gonna add like a level of complexity to the color match, but we'll get there when we get there. So it's a new day. I'm still kind of about what to do to match the top and the sides, because I still think there's a little bit of a discrepancy. But I'm gonna ignore that. Just keep on working until I figure out a solution. But I am going to be painting this middle drawer with this Valspar cabinet furniture oil enriched enamel in the color Cream Delight. So, gonna paint that with pretty paintbrush. I'm gonna hand paint this because there's like these little grooves and stuff, but it's already sanded down to 220 grit. I think I got most of the dust off already, so just gonna paint the color Cream Delight. People think I'm against painting, when in reality, I just really think it's really hard. Like any drip marks or like brush strokes, it's all very stressful to me. And then sanding between coats, then I feel like I sand off all the paint, and then it's just this whole ordeal, but this is looking pretty good. So we'll let this dry, and then we'll obviously have to do like 1 or 2 more coats once it's dried. So what I think I'm going to do is take some of this white stain, simply white, have Red Mahogany, which I think is going to help get a little bit of the redness. And I'm going to use a little syringe to suck up the stain, because I just want to add a few drops. Swirly whirly, and maybe see if this helps. I feel like I maybe need like a little bit more. Okay. All right, let's try this on a piece of scrap wood first. I don't know, let's just go for it. Let's see how this one buffs out. Still red. Now I'm thinking maybe I just need to keep applying white to the rest. Like keep doing coats of white, you know what I mean? The part of me is thinking that I'm overthinking it. Does that even make any sense? I'm thinking that I'm overthinking it. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and put the polyurethane on the tops and the sides, and I'm gonna see, I guess, what the color discrepancy really is. It may not be as bad as I think it is. And plus, over time, maybe it will kind of all come together. I don't know. I think that's just what I'm going to do. I think I'm just going to go for the polyurethane because, yeah. Let's just apply the polyurethane and see what happens. All right, so using Minwax oil-based polyurethane. And this stuff I really enjoy. So it's definitely not darkening the wood the same way it does on walnut, which I guess I didn't really know. It's a surprise and makes things a little less stressful in a sense. Now this side is obviously going to be the more stressful side, so let's see how this goes on. I mean, it's really not darkening it the way I thought it would. Coat 2 of the middle drawer. This is my #1 suggestion for saving your paintbrushes: tin foil. Coat 2. also made my decision that I am going to paint all of the edges right here using a small little craft brush. This might take me a while. I wonder how much hate I'm going to get for using white paint or paint at all. I also realized that I need to paint here because you'll be able to see the you'll be able to see this when the drawers are in. So we are now painting the inside of the frame. I can't tell you how bad I am at painting and how much I don't like it. Like, I don't like it. It's so messy. And I feel like it's so hard to get a good finish. Like I don't know. You know, it would be so crazy is if, you know, somebody saw this, someone like myself saw this and bought it and was like, you know what, this, I wonder what's hiding underneath that paint. And bought it to strip it and then just to find what I was trying to cover up. I don't know. I don't think that will happen though, but maybe one day in the future someone will buy it from somebody else and do that. For the hardware, I am going to use some Rust-Oleum gold spray paint. I was going to leave it chrome, but the feet on the dresser are still gold. So, and then I was going to use an antique buff or rub and buff, but the antique gold that I have is like bronze. So we're going to use this. We'll wait for this to dry and then we'll flip them over. Hardware is spray painted. Now time to reinstall. These were like really hard to get out, so I'm not going to be surprised if they're also really hard to get back in. Okay. All right, we got one in. We can get this one in. Okay, that one went in way nicer. Let's see if we can use the screws. I need like a rubber mallet. So as a reminder, here's where we started. This piece came to me at a price I couldn't say no to. Even though the top was atrocious, I kind of knew I would never be able to get that green stain off and that I would have to replace the veneer, but it was worth a shot trying anyway. One side had more of a reddish hue and the other side had a more neutral hue. It had the giant chunk missing from the middle drawer that took a lot of experimenting. But it did have all of the original hardware. It did have the mid-century modern charm and uniqueness that I absolutely love. So after lots of hard work, here's what it looks like now. Drum roll, please. Ta-da! Here she is. This is definitely not my typical piece. I never paint, so using paint was fun and different for me. It was a nice little switch up. and still kind of the top is a little bit lighter than the drawers, but I think because of the contrasting tones between the painted drawer and the wood veneer, I think it's okay. I am pretty proud with how this one came out. It did take, especially the repair on the corner, because honestly, I was filming this after video, and I finished this maybe last week. I just haven't filmed like the after part yet. And I totally forgot that a chip was even missing right over here. So yay me for fixing that and for being so good that I didn't even remember that I fixed it. But yeah, here it is. Here is the top veneer. Still not really impressed with the grain on it. I do think it's a little bit overkill and kind of reminds me of plywood, but it's at least better than it was before. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. It obviously isn't my typical flip. I was experimenting with different wood species, color matching, wood repairs, like chunks of wood, fixing the veneer, replacing the veneer on top, painting. So lots of cool things that I don't normally get to do, or the pieces that I work with don't normally need or have. So yeah, this was a fun project, getting to kind of expand my skill set. No matter how sketchy that repair was, it worked, and it's very strong and it looks very good. So I'll give myself credit for that. It is very unique measurements, so it's going to take a specific buyer for this specific piece. So patience always. But overall, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty happy with it. It was fun. Learned a lot. So thank you for watching. If you watched the whole thing, I appreciate you. Please like, comment, subscribe, whatever YouTube allows you to do, because that allows me to keep creating free content for you. And let me know what you want to see next. I have lots of fun projects in the works. I just have to have the time to do them. Being a mom is pretty crazy. So thank you for watching.